Hello, and welcome back to your everyday English lessons right here on English Outside the Box. It's been a while, it's been a couple of weeks since we've done these live lessons. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry that you've missed me. I'm sorry that you've missed these English lessons. But if you've been following me on Instagram, you've seen that I was in Hawaii. I was on a family vacation and I was teaching things in there, on there through my story, teaching a lot of real English through there. But we're back, we're here, and today we're talking about something exciting because it's what you, English students and English learners, wanted to learn and what my learners in my Facebook group asked about. Questions. English questions, and specifically structures of questions in English. Now, this is super important because this is how you're going to make a conversation, maintain a conversation, and it's going to be what you need to speak English more naturally, more comfortably, which is exactly why you're here. So what I want us to do is I want this lesson to be as interactive, as helpful as possible from the beginning. So if you're watching live and you're commenting in the chat, hello, I want you to get right into asking questions about questions. So what doubts, what weaknesses, what do you have about questions and about using questions in English? And then try to create a question. Try to ask me a question. And then we'll talk about some common questions for speaking. So, Jennifer, how are you? How are you is one of the questions in the chat. Another question is, what's shaking? What is shaking? So let's just get right into these two types of questions. The lesson could not have started better. Let me quickly tell you, in case you're new, I am seeing a lot of familiar faces in the chat, but if you're new, welcome. I'm Jennifer Nascimento, and I'm the teacher at EnglishOutsideTheBox.com. And at English Outside the Box, you can learn how to speak more comfortable, more confident, and more natural English. This English is important for your everyday skills, work, travel, studying, the English you need to comfortably live, survive, and adapt in English. So you can learn with me on my website, as I just mentioned, EnglishOutsideTheBox.com. Now, after this lesson, there will be notes on my blog. This lesson is all about practicing your listening skills and practicing what you hear me saying. Take notes if you want, but I won't be having a whiteboard or any kind of materials to show you because it's all about listening to a native speaker. If you need the notes, if you are visual, the lesson notes will be available on my website after this video, after the broadcast. So that's a little bit about me. That's a little bit about English Outside the Box. So let's talk about those two questions. How are you? What's shaken? So these are two types of questions that you can ask someone that you just meet or you just start a conversation with, whether it's a friend or a stranger. These are greetings, ways to say hello. These types of questions are the most common to start a conversation because it's asking about feelings and asking about actions. So that is the main difference between how questions and what questions. So the most common one you've heard is, how are you? I am good, or I am well. How is asking about feelings. How is asking about how you as the person are. How do you feel? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you good? Are you bad? How is asking for feelings. So you often respond with the subject I, be, am, and then an adjective to describe yourself and how you feel. Douglas said, what's shaken? Now this is a little bit more slang. not something that maybe you've heard if you're brand new with English, but what questions when you meet someone and start a conversation is asking more about actions, almost like, what are you doing? What is going on right now? When somebody asks you a what question, you often respond with a verb with an action. So, what's going on? I'm here teaching an English lesson. Not much. I just got home yesterday from a trip and I'm adapting back to life. I'm resettling. I'm getting into a routine. So, what we notice with those questions is both of those questions started with a question word. So, getting into the structure part, the grammar part of this is there are two types of questions, right? Yes or no questions and information questions. Now, if you're watching live, if you're watching the replay, what I want you to do right now is type an example of each. Can you type an example of a yes or no question? And can you type an example of an information question? Okay, so that's what I want you to do right now. A yes or no question is obviously going to give an answer that's yes or no. The structure of this question is always going to start with some auxiliary verb. Do, will, the verb to be, different tenses, does, do, did. If we're talking about a present perfect sentence, then have is the auxiliary verb. Past perfect, you need had. So you need to start a yes or no question with an auxiliary verb, always. I saw an example of this with Pauline's question. Have you moved in yet to your new place? Have you moved in yet to your new place? Ekaterina, hello. She asked a similar yes or no question. Have you visited Paris? Both of these questions are examples of a yes or no perfect tense question. It starts with the auxiliary have. Have you moved in? Have you visited? So what you notice is after the auxiliary, the subject of the question. In this case, it's you because they're asking me. So it can be has, she or it, has Pauline had her coffee this morning? Has Ekaterina moved to the United States? So you can change the subject depending on who you're talking to, of course. Resolva asks another yes or no with the present perfect. Have you ever been to Paris? So I have visited Paris. I have been in Paris. I've actually been 3 times. And yes, and so that is going to be the yes or no question. So just some other examples. Do you like cats? Yes or no in the present tense. Auxiliary do, subject you, and then we have the main verb. Do you like? Have you visited? Visited is the main verb. Because it's in the present perfect, we know it's in that past participle form. Then with all of these questions, you can have the rest of the sentence, the information, the yet, the adverbs, all of the extra information. But what I want you to start with and get extremely comfortable with is the structure of the question, yes or no, starting with auxiliary, subject, main verb. Have you been with your family this weekend? So a little grammar point is, remember when you use the present perfect, you can never use a time expression. So have you been with your family is the present perfect generally asking. Patricia Campos, did you spend time with your family this weekend? Were you with your family this weekend? Those would be examples that you could ask with that this weekend time expression. Ah, Nick, Ekaterina has moved to the States. All right. And so this is a yes or a no question. If you have doubts about the yes or no question, comment in the live chat, comment below this video, and at the end, I'll try to review any doubts because I want to move on to information questions because there are some examples here. Information questions. Where have you been this weekend? How was your trip? When did you go? How is the weather in your country? Yes, so those are examples of information questions. Information questions are always going to be asking for information. All information questions are going to start with a question word. Who, what, where, when, why, how are the most common. You can go into how many, how much, how often, and other types of questions as well. So how, right? Question word, it's going to go into the question word. Then you're going to have the auxiliary. How was, then you're going to have the subject. The weather, include the rest of the information, the details, the time, the place, the adverbs, etc. So how was the weather in Hawaii? Information question, asking for information about the weather. So how was the weather? The weather was phenomenal. The first week, it was sunny. There was not a cloud in the sky. It was not too humid. It was the perfect weather. The last week, it was really interesting because we experienced a different kind of weather and a lot of rain, but the terrain, the landscape was gorgeous. All right. What was some of the other questions? When did you go there? So have I visited Paris? Yes. When did you go there? Asking for time. I went there in 2007, too long ago. I think it's time to go back for a visit. All right. So these are information questions. So information questions, again, are asking for information. This might be a review for most of you, but just in case you're not too sure about the information in question words, where is going to be asking about place, when is going to be asking about time, why is going to ask about reason, how can ask for manner or the situation, who is going to ask for people. And I think I reviewed all of them. Who, what is going to ask for more information? It depends on the rest of the question to get that information. So these are the question structures. And what is really important is not mixing up these structures, because what you notice is a question structure is different than a sentence structure. Questions always have the auxiliary before the subject. How are you? Are you? The auxiliary goes first. In a sentence, we know that the subject comes before the auxiliary. I am great. So never get confused with the question order as well. What then gets really tricky, and I'm not going to go into it in this lesson because this is an entirely new lesson, something I'll do in the future, embedded questions. Embedded questions can be really tricky. So can you tell me what time it is? What time it is? Notice in an embedded question, the structure changes. So I want you to think about that. And we're going to be talking about embedded questions in a future lesson. All right, so let me just pop back into the chat here and answer some of these questions. I'm going to review some of these questions. Sometimes these questions can help other people watching the replay, but what we want to talk about, what we want to review now at the end here is specific questions you have about structure. This was a general review, and you want to practice asking some different questions as well. I actually have a challenge for you. That's what I want you to do. I want all of you watching live or watching the replay to create a yes or no question with the main verb being have. So have is a verb that means possession, okay? Ownership. What I want all of you to do is write a yes or no question using have. It can be in any time tense, but this is your challenge, and I want to see if maybe you're making a mistake that I might think you're making. All right, so going back to some of these questions, are you okay? Yes or no question? I'm fabulous. Where have you been? So remember, have you been is the present perfect, and we can never use that with a time expression in the past. Where were you this weekend? This weekend I was in Hilo. How is the weather in your country? So I've been out of my country for almost 3 weeks. Everyone has been telling me that it's been very hot and very humid here. So I hope that changes because I don't like hot and humid together. How's it going is another really common question to ask someone for a greeting. It's going fabulous. Flavio, tell us about the shadowing technique. You can re-watch this video and shadow, copy, or mimic what you hear with a focus. You can use the shadowing technique to practice and match and review pronunciation. You can use the shadowing technique to get more comfortable using accurate sentence structures. You can use it to learn vocabulary, but it's basically copying what you hear so you can commit it in your brain. Tell me about yourself. I think that's a must. The most important question. Tell me about yourself, Nasser, isn't a question. It is a statement. All right. How have you been doing? How have you been doing? I've been doing great. All right. What does index mean? Do you have a tattoo on your index finger? Yes, I do. This is your index finger, middle finger, ring finger, pinky finger, and your thumb. Okay. I see a phrasal verb group club. Do you accept ELO credit card? The phrasal verb club, you can sign up with PayPal or a credit card. Yes. Index is this finger. All right, so have you had lunch yet? Great question. Okay, Louise, you were answering the challenge, right? Using have as the main verb. Louise, were you asking a question with have as the main verb? Let me know. Patricia Campos asked a different type of question. We should study. No, study. 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 We should study English every day, shouldn't we? This is an example of a tag question. I have a video, I have information about tag questions. I have an entire English lesson about tag questions on my website. So go to EnglishOutsideTheBox.com, click blog and free lessons, and use that search bar and type in tag, and you can re-watch and review the whole lesson about tag questions. So, in your opinion, what is the best beach of Santos? Wow. I don't know. We lived near Canal 2, Canal 2, maybe that beach. I don't know. I don't know the beaches of Santos by name. All right. So, I'm gonna use Louise as an example here, and unfortunately, oh wait, no, yes, okay. So have you had lunch yet? So let me back up. A really common mistake that students make with have is confusing have as an auxiliary and have as a main verb. So in this case, Louise used have lunch as in eaten lunch. Have you had lunch? Have you eaten lunch? And we have, the auxiliary, you as the subject, main verb had, and then the details, lunch. Have you had lunch? So yes or no, I haven't had lunch because it's not even 9 a.m. yet. What about another question with have? I want a simple present yes or no question with have. I want you to write a simple present yes or no question with have. I'll wait and then we'll talk about it. Is it question structure common? So a shot after a short after a comma. A short after a comma. Patricia, I don't know what your question is, but you have two subjects in your sentence. You asked me a yes or no question. Is it common? It is the subject. Is it? But then you use another subject. Is it question structure common? Yes, because you have to know question structure to know how to ask the correct sentences and how to not make mistakes. So with this, if you use a pronoun for a subject, you do not use another noun within the same question. You just have one noun, one pronoun, or one subject. Jaffe, I am not going to speak in Portuguese because this is an English lesson. If you want to hear me speaking in Portuguese, you can look for my Portuguese English teaching Instagram. We should study English every day, shouldn't we? I meant this structure. So this is a tag question, Patricia. Yes, these are common. Yes, these are important. Review my blog lesson, search for tag questions on my website, and I talk about how you use them, why they're important, and why they're common. Do you have a cat? Do you have a lot of friends? Perfect. When have is the main verb in a simple present tense, we must use the auxiliary do, does in the present, or did in the past. Do you have a cat? Yes, I have two. Yes, I have two. All right. So again, this was a basic review of question structure, reviewing exactly what you need to know and what you need to use to make an accurate, perfect sentence or question in English. Some of you might think, oh, this one was so easy today, Jennifer. However, it's always good to review some basics. It's always good to go back to those things you reviewed years and years ago and make sure you still understand and make sure that you still are using them correctly. If you're a beginner, if you're new in English, this lesson is going to help you really strengthen your ability to ask questions. We reviewed the structure, and I talked a little bit about the difference between how and what in a greeting type question, and talked a little bit about what you need to know to make a question. If you are more advanced, what I want you to do with this lesson is practice teaching someone else. You know question structures, you know the basic information that I taught today. Can you teach someone else? Not copying my words, but using your own words. So once you master something, a topic, a grammar point, try to teach it and see where the challenge is in explaining it, because that's where you can get stuck. That's where you can practice more advanced language related to a topic or related to grammar. All right, Rosalva has lots of questions about Santos. Did you see the aquarium of Santos? I think it was closed when I tried to go, and I don't think I ever saw it. I didn't go. So we're going to be here for maybe another minute or two, and we're going to focus on question structures in English. So in this final minute or so, you can write a question you have about question structures. You can write a question to practice feedback, and you can practice what we've learned today. So if you've been watching this lesson, we've just talked about the basic review of question structure. Do you feel confident? Do you feel good? Are you ready for something more advanced next time, like indirect questions? Let me know in the chat, and let me know below this video in the comments if you're watching the replay, so I know what English lessons you need. I'm going to kind of wait for a minute while you tell me if you're good, or if you tell me a question. Luis Antonio Suarez, welcome. Subject and object questions, yes. This is huge, and this can be really, really confusing. Great follow-up lesson. We will do that this month in July. Maybe the rest of July will be question month. Would you like that? You're watching live. Let me know as well in the chat or below this video. Do you want July to be question month, and we talk all about different types of questions in English? Say, yes, I want July to be English question month, if you want the lessons to be that. So Luis Antonio Suarez, the difference would be, just to introduce this idea, who called you? Who called you? Subject question. John called me. The question is asking about the subject of the answer. Who did you call? I called John. Now we're asking about the object. An object question gets us an answer in the object. The answer is the object. Basic 1 or 2 sentence explanation. But Luis Antonio Suarez, I promise subject and object questions will come in the future. Celicia Silva, would you do me a big favor? Could you talk about the would using in the past? Mr. Silva, can you do me a big favor and go onto my website and search about my past lessons where I've already talked about this? So I like to keep these lessons pretty focused on the topic for people watching the replay, because it could be confusing if I talk about many different things in the video. So Mr. Silva, first you want to go to my website, search for conditionals. Conditionals use would. Search for modals. Well, I talk about would in those lessons. So review the lessons I've already created, then come back and ask me a question if you still have doubts. Patricia Campos, who is the most important person in your life? This is a great question. This is an information question in the simple present tense. Who is the most important person? My son. My son is the most important human being in my life right now. He is my everything. Miss Dora, you'll watch the replay later. Interesting. All right. Nasser, as I mentioned, we're talking about question structure. I want and I need are very different things, and we're not going to confuse it today. All right, so I'm going to be waiting for your answers. I'm going to be waiting for your comments below this video if you want to learn more about questions in this month in July. So remember, tell me if you want more questions and we can create more lessons about it. My final tip for you is, a couple of Mondays ago, was it last Monday, I shared a quote on my Instagram. There's no elevator to success. You must take the stairs. And a lot of students commented on this post telling me what they think that it means. And it just means you have to put in effort. You have to try. There's no easy way up. There's no easy way to success. You have to work. It's easier to take an elevator. Stairs are hard work. But you have to take the stairs to success, which means you have to work hard to success. And right now, your success is English, right? So you have to work hard for your success. You have to work hard for your English. Try. Don't take the easy route. So, Mr. Silva and Nasser, who are asking me questions, I've already taught these questions and I already have these lessons on my website. So don't just take the easy way out and ask right now that you have me live when it's off topic. Do the work. I want you to sit down for 15 minutes today after this lesson and review your questions on my English lessons, on my videos, and on my blog, because I have hundreds of English lessons to help both of you and to help anyone watching these videos learn and improve English. That's why I create them. So take the stairs after this lesson. Go on to EnglishOutsideTheBox.com and review more English lessons. If you have a question, use the search bar and find it. I could promise there's probably a lesson about something similar, if not your exact question. Final question, have you ever written a book? No, but maybe I will. I don't know. So remember, the lesson notes for this video will be available soon. Thanks for taking time and learning live with me today. I wish you the best of luck on your journey up the stairs to success. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications, and join me every Tuesday at this time for more live lessons. Happy studying, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.